Chris Hemsworth has a new article out. He did a big interview with GQ. It's actually a pretty good article. It's very long, though. Very long article. Talks about his life, where he started, where he's going, his favorite movies that he's done, favorite people he'd love to work with, and most importantly, and what we're going to discuss, digs at Marvel, which I thought were pretty interesting. Now, the thing to talk about here with him is I don't think he's under contract with Disney at all anymore. His contract, as far as I know, ran out with Thor Love and Thunder. Whether or not they bring him back, I don't know. I would imagine they maybe will for a big event. I think he's going to be off-world for a long time because, well, they want to use Jane Foster. Use Jane Foster. The Thor nobody wants. Everybody wants Chris Hemsworth. This is what's so funny about it because, like, once again, Marvel just doesn't get it. Everyone wants him as Thor, just like they want Chris Evans as Captain America, but instead we get Falcon Cap. It's dumb. I'm sorry. He's an awful Captain America. Even in the comics, it makes no sense that someone would fly and use a shield because what in the wind he creates, throw the shield off? Whatever. If anybody was going to be Captain America, it should have been Bucky, to be honest, because he was in the comics first, after Steve Rogers, which is a great run, by the way, by Ed Brubaker, if you've never read it. But instead, they decided to go with Falcon Cap, which makes no sense, like I said, because the wind from flying would throw the shield off. But whatever. Do what you want to do with Marvel. Clearly, it's working. You've had one big hit, Guardians of the Galaxy. Everything else has been shit, and it's going to go right back to being shit, by the way, because nobody cares about Echo. Nobody cares about Agatha. Like, who wants these characters in shows? And then the Marvels. Don't forget about the Marvels. Highly doubt that thing is going to pull in Guardians of the Galaxy money. Maybe it will, and it'll shock me. I don't know. Highly doubt it. So this is an interesting interview. The biggest stuff in here, though, are two things. One, his problem with Ant-Man, and two, he talks about how Scorsese and Quentin Tarantino really just don't think highly of Marvel movies. And it saddens him because he would love to work with them. I mean, who wouldn't? But he considers them like heroes, and he wants to work with them, and he says it's depressing. I guess they don't like me. I don't know if that's necessarily true. But, I mean, their criticisms of Marvel are still pretty valid. Even though I don't entirely agree with them, because I think, especially some of those older Marvel movies are a lot of fun. I mean, movies like Marvel and DC stuff, like those aren't meant to be like masterpieces of cinema. They're meant to be fun pop culture rides, basically. I mean, you have like your high level cinema, and then you have your fun cinema. I think they're still cinema, but I mean, they're not masterpieces of cinema. I don't think that that's unfair to say. But what's interesting about what Chris Hemsworth talks about here is how silly and goofy all this shit is. I mean, he has a lot to say about this. So the biggest one was him talking about the criticism he received from his kids' friends, talking about how 8-year-olds were dunking on Thor Love and Thunder, telling him that they thought it was too goofy. And the thing that makes this really interesting is these are really the target market for these movies. So you have 8-year-olds. These are the ones that would be buying all the toys and shirts and all of the merchandise. This is well, the parents would buy it, but this is the demographic that these kinds of movies really want to latch onto because it'll keep them coming back for many years to see more and more Marvel movies. But they don't even like this shit. Said Thor Love and Thunder was too goofy for them. They didn't like that. And then he comes out and talks about problems with Ant-Man Quantumania in this interview on top of that, saying it was too goofy and too high stakes. He said, the exact quote is here it is right here. That's the trick. You have to separate all of those stories. The moment it's like your world is in danger, the entire universe. It's like, yeah, so was the last 24 films. It has to be a bit more personal and grounded. I actually agree with him. Does every movie need to be high stakes, save the universe? Why can't we have like a personal kind of movie, like that's not a huge disaster? That would be pretty good to see. But instead, it's always the stakes are high. And the problem is, how do they get higher and higher all the time? How do you keep raising the stakes? So, it's funny. I like that he's out there saying this, and it's kind of risky for him to say this stuff because, if anything, that Alonso woman, I forget her last name, or is it Victoria Alonso? The super SJW woke feminist that got fired, that was kind of like a step or two under Feige. It looked like she was being groomed to be the protege, like his protege to take over when he leaves. She was said to be very vindictive, and if you struck her the wrong way, she'd blacklist you from working. So these people are very vindictive and hold grudges, and you got to wonder if people are going to see this and say, "Oh, we're just not going to hire you back, will we?" Because they don't have to. They could just leave his character off the table, which would be stupid. This is like the last original Avenger you could really use besides what, Bruce Banner. So that would be dumb. Oh, Hawkeye's still around, I guess, too. Is that it? Hawkeye, Hulk, and Thor? Are those the only ones that are left? Yeah, because Iron Man's dead. Captain America's an old man. Black Widow's dead. Vision is still around, but I wouldn't consider him an OG. So, they don't really have a lot of the OGs around anymore. So, it'd be dumb to leave him, especially because women go to see his movies. I mean, that's just a fact. And to be honest, he doesn't really need Marvel. He's got that Extraction movie coming out. I can't wait to see that. Actually, the first one was really good. He can just keep doing action movies. People will keep hiring him. He doesn't really need Marvel anymore. He's kind of set, to be honest. And, I mean, he how many action stars do we even have that look good in action roles? So he'd be fine with or without Disney, but it's fun to see him shit on him. Fun to see stuff like this. Chris Hemsworth thinks Thor has become too silly. If superheroes are turning on Marvel, is Endgame nigh? Not quite yet, but people will still flock to see good movies. That's why Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is doing well. I hear it's a pretty legit good movie. I haven't seen it yet. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, legit good movie. That's why it did well. But the problem is we don't get very many of them. Because for every Guardians of the Galaxy, we get the Marvels and Echo. And Marvel's so confident in that show, they're dumping them all at once. All the episodes are going to come out at once. Because they're just going to dump it and put it out there because they know nobody's going to give a shit about Echo. I don't even think I'm going to watch Echo. I don't care about Echo. All the characters in the Marvel universe that you could give a show for me to watch, you're going to make a show about Echo. And then Agatha Harkness. Give a shit about either of them. I probably won't watch that one either. So, I don't know. We'll see how that Flash movie does because that's supposed to be pretty good. I might do a video on that next, actually, because there's reviews out for it now, and I'd like to take a look at them. They're pretty mixed. And I don't take what critics say to heart, but I do think it's interesting that these movies aren't getting the best reactions. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here. I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my locals.